and continue to provide feedback. So it's a really, really lovely program. And I don't want to go on about it a huge amount, so because I'm one of the people delivering it. It's probably best to hear from past participants about what it's really like, and then we'll have plenty of time for you when you come to questions and answers. But when you're listening to these people, it's important to think about whether you can commit the time to this, and also whether you're at the right stage to be able to do this program right now, because you really need to be at a place where you're going to be able to write a grant and submit a grant relatively soon. So that means you're going to already be probably postdoctoral, you'll be developing your own research questions and your own research vision, and already have a portfolio of publications that you're starting. So you have to be at this readiness level. If you're not quite there yet, it's probably worth waiting and concentrating on that, and then applying for this next year, because we plan to keep this going and part of AREF for the continuing future. So there's always this opportunity. So I just want to put it out there that this isn't a one-off, that it isn't now or never, that this is part of AREF. So think about whether this is something you can commit to now, and if it will really, really help you. Listen to what our lovely ladies say about the program, and make a decision about whether it's worth you applying for this and you committing to this, because we really, really want people on board that are passionate about going through the whole program and coming out and winning funding for your research ideas. So, right, without further ado, I'm so happy to have both Uzoamaka here and Christèle. I miss you guys. we have, when we do these programs, we do see each other quite intensely over a period of time. So it's fantastic to have them back. Who's going to kick off for me today? I should know who wants to kick off. Shall I? It's over. Uzoamaka, you're coming on. Why don't you kick off and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about what it was like to be involved in the AREF Women in Research programs that you've been involved in.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here to discuss, the tips for the AREF Women in Research group grant writing program. As an alumna of 2021, which landed me a research fellow position afterwards under Dr. Heavy's lab in the Center of 3D Models for Health and Diseases, University College of London, UCL. However, before joining UCL on sabbatical leave in 2022, I am a senior lecturer at the University of Nigeria, and I acquired a PhD in pharmacology and therapeutics from University of Nigeria. And I think I should tell you a little bit about my career vision. So, well, my career vision is to translate fundamental scientific research to clinical application and beyond. Hence, based on this principle, most of my aspired or advanced research visualizes a translational process. So upon completing my PhD in 2020, I created a basic and translational cancer research group that I coordinate at my university. And again, it's important to have a long-term goal. So my long-term goal is to work towards eliminating cancer disparities between races for better patient outcome through my research and established research group, which will hopefully, grow into a research institute. Now, this is a long-term goal, and being part of the grant writing program was like taking a baby steps towards achieving this goal, which will lead to, bridging the gap between translational basic cancer research into clinical practice in the sub-Saharan Africa, and hopefully in the worldwide. So my ultimate goal is to continue to do multidisciplinary translational research and, contribute to understanding my interests, my field, and also to train curious minds and younger researchers. And in addition, I am a married woman with 4 children, and my eldest is preparing for her GCSE, while the youngest is in primary grade 3. So these are all the packages of being a woman in research.
Showing us that balance there. Very, very good. Oh, it's so lovely to hear about all your research and how it's evolving. Thank you so much. Christèle, do you want to bounce in so people can get to know you a little better?
Yes, thank you very much, Dawn, and great thanks to AREF for the woman I am today. I'm Christèle TCHOPBA. I got my PhD in immunology and microbiology in 2020. My research interest is on immunology, infectious diseases, antimicrobial resistance, and sickle cell disease. So currently, I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Immunology and Immunomodulation Research Unit of the University of Lomé, where I'm currently working on projects to demonstrate the effects of helminthiasis on the occurrence of female reproductive tract infections. And also we are studying the effects of, we want to demonstrate the anti-helminthic and anti-inflammatory effects of 2 plants from the African pharmacopoeia. My vision is to establish a platform to study all the pathologies that occur in sickle cell disease patients, because I feel that pathology is not well investigated in Africa. And it is a disease that involves a multidisciplinary team. So I want to establish a platform so that all the pathologies that are found in Europe and America can be investigated in Africa too. You know, AREF gave me the opportunity to state clearly my vision, to define my call to action, and also to networking with great researchers in Africa and in Europe and America and Australia, because through AREF, I met people from all those parts of the world and know what is research, you know. And being a woman in research, as Uzoamaka said, me too, I'm a mother. I have 3 children, 13, 10, and 6 years old. With AREF, I learned how to be more involved in my research with my family and all my plans in life. Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so lovely to hear all of your research. And gosh, yeah, I can see how your visions have both really, they're really becoming solid now, aren't they? And it's so exciting to see you guys evolve. Yeah, it's great to hear. And that's one of the things about AREF, because once you're part of the AREF family, you really are part of the AREF family. So the programs are very much not just about the one-off programs, but about creating these networks and being part of the AREF network ongoing. So in thinking about that, I just have a few questions to start throwing out to our lovely ladies here so they can start telling you bits about what it's like to do these programs. And then you can also send in questions and we'll start getting to those too. But just to kick us off, could you tell us what you think the grant writing program did for your career? How did the grant writing program help impact your next steps of your career?
Should I go? Okay, I'll say the grant writing program, you know, has significantly impacted on my career. Well, as a lecturer and an early career researcher, it is crucial, you know, part of securing fundings for research projects and advancing in my field. So like I said earlier, I landed research fellow position after the program. And the program empowered me on how to write a compelling proposal, and also a compelling CV as well. It also prepared me for the fellowship interview. The grant writing program also provided me an opportunity to develop valuable skills such as time management, arranging my task in order of priority, effective communication through talks and presentations at conferences, and building up a network of collaborators, which the skills that I got from this program, I apply daily in my career to be more resourceful and, working towards my goal of being an independent researcher. It taught me the importance to regularly assess where I am at my career and think about how to achieve the next step, even if it is years away. So in essence, it also helped me to deal with, the stressful task with high pressure to meet deadlines and produce quality work, and most importantly, incorporating a work-life balance.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think sometimes people think a grant writing course should just be sit down and write, but really succeeding at obtaining research funding takes a huge amount of different types of skills. And the AREF grant writing program does always think about all of those skills and how we can help support people to develop themselves as a whole person. Christèle, do you want to add some things? How did it help develop your career?
I really agree with all Uzoamaka said, but what I will add is that AREF, the grant writing program, also allowed me to seek for collaborations, to know that being a researcher, you can not only look for your personal grant, you can constitute a consortium, you can look for researchers all over the world. When reading a paper, you can contact the researcher and start a collaboration with him. We learn how to do all that. And also I learned how to state my vision, as Uzo said, and at every moment evaluate to know where I am, where am I going, am I on the good way, and also to state my personal development plan. That's what I can add.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and those personal development plans are so important to get you through,
Yes.
because it is quite an intensive program, and being a researcher is quite intensive. And thinking about that, it started off kind of talking about where we're kind of aiming the level at, but maybe you guys can help clarify for people if they're sitting there at home or in their offices and asking themselves, am I ready for this program? What do you think people should be in their career stage to really be ready to take advantage of the grant writing program? Don't know who wants to start off. Christèle, do you want to kick it off this first one? Yeah.
Yes. To know that you are ready for the program means you check personally if you belong to a research team, if you have some publications where you have already collaborated, if you know what is called a research, firstly, because be engaged in a program like this means you just need tips to go ahead. It's not here you will start learning what is a research or what. No, you should, when you come to AREF Women Grant Writing Program, it is to find the good way to state your research goal, your research aim, and to write your concept notes. And also you should make sure that you are in good relationship with a supervisor or you have a mentor. But even if you don't have a mentor, you should have a supervisor, because by the way, you will learn how to seek for a mentor and make the difference between a mentor and a supervisor. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Anything to add to that, Uzoamaka, if people are thinking, am I quite ready, or yeah?
Well, I think Christèle said it all, but you need a clear idea, what your goals in addition to what Christèle said, you need a clear idea what your goals are and what your long-term plan is.
Yes.
What are you going to gain? You know, is this something that will be better suited for your career trajectory? And also, how is it going to benefit your, you know, your institute or your research group or your university? So that somewhat determines, you know, if it's the right time to apply. And also, you know, the Women in Research Grant Writing Program will better equip you to apply for a grant, as it largely depends, you know, also grant writing also largely depends on the grant scheme and its eligibility criteria, which we've stated out, you know, and using the AREF Research Development Fellowship, which, you know, the call, I think the call for 2023, 2024 will be open in May, June, 2023. There are guidelines that can be helpful. And it also mentions the aims of the program, you know, which is to develop emerging African scientists who are working on important challenges for human health in Africa. And it will enable them grow their skills, experiences, confidence, and reach research output. So in summary, or rather, also develop compelling research questions, you know, mentoring relationship, and raise your profile through international networks. So in summary, the right time to apply for a grant depends on your clear idea, you know, the specific grant scheme and its eligibility criteria, I must say.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's really, really helpful. And I'd say kind of knowing what the reviewers are looking from, so I can give a little bit of an insight into the people who review these applications. It is competitive. And the reviewers are really very much looking for exactly what these ladies have said, somebody who has a research vision and sees the goal that they want to reach. And are at those points where they're going to be ready to start applying for research funding. Because when you're doing a program like this, it really, really is important to immediately start to be able to put the learning into action. Yeah. So we're always looking for people that are able to not in 2 or 3 years do it, but right now start doing it. Because the truth is, if you do some training now, 2 or 3 years down the line, if you haven't used it, you're likely to forget. So you really need to be embedding it and putting it in. If you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not to that point, don't worry. Like I said, we will keep putting on grant writing programs. We'll keep putting on women grant writing programs. So this will be around when you need it. Just keep your eye out. But if you are at that spot where you're like, oh, I have a research vision, I just need to get a little bit of extra support to get to that next step, that's who we're looking for. This program definitely could be for you. I have a question about approaching mentors. So on the application, it does ask about mentor support and whether you have people who are behind you taking this program. And that's primarily because it is really quite intensive. So having your supervisors or mentors supporting you saying, yeah, you should do this, ideally will mean that you're able to take the time it takes to really fully participate. So maybe you ladies can talk about that, because it can sometimes be scary going to a mentor or a supervisor saying, I want to take this program, but it's going to take me away from the lab or away from other work to focus on it. Any thoughts on how people could approach that positively?
Yes. To approach it positively, you have to show your mentor or your supervisor that through the program, you will improve yourself, and all the benefits will come back to the lab. You'll be able to state other topics of research. For example, you'll be able to make the lab known through your new networking. You will increase the visibility of your lab. Yes, and also Yes, I think it's all it's all about the improvement of the lab visibility and the improve of yourself, because a lab need to be increased. You have to develop new topics to make the lab viable.
Yeah, so helping thinking about what that mentor or supervisor might need for the lab and how you can start bringing that in. Uzoamaka, any other thoughts on strategies for that?
Well, yeah, the basic thing you need to know, when approaching your mentors. For me, most women don't have mentors and often use their supervisors as their mentor. And I don't agree with using your supervisors as a mentor, because they they can't give you an unbiased, advice. So they tend to, give you advice based on their personal interests. So it's so that being said, the supervisor is someone that makes you, what you need to, makes you do what you need to do. And a mentor is someone who makes you do what you want to do. So like selling yourself to your supervisor, for some people, just like Christèle said, you make them see the importance of, going on a fellowship and what you're bringing to the table. And so when approaching your mentor to support you, you have to have a good relationship with this person. Will the mentor have time for you is the mentor a good communicator? Again, the mentor does not have to be in the same field, but someone with someone that has much more experience than you have.
Yeah, thank you for that. We do talk about that a lot, don't we, in our various courses, about the difference between supervisors or mentors. And sometimes a supervisor may be acting as a mentor, but like you said, Uzoamaka, there's always another component about them needing to be looking at the project and the work, whereas a career development mentor is just solely there for your career development. So having a person like that is so beneficial. I can't say enough how trying to find somebody who's just there for you and your professional development is a really helpful thing. And no matter what stage any of our lovely participants are at, I would suggest they try to find someone like that. And if you do one of our AREF courses, we'll talk about that and think about how you can maybe find those type of people. So that is something that we do go over in these courses. So just taking it back to the nitty gritty of the application, I don't know if you guys remember, it was a while ago when you did. Is there any advice on just kind of how to get the application forms done and that you can give, like if they're working towards it and what they should do?
Number one, don't procrastinate, just do it. What I tend to do is, follow the guidelines of any application. They give off everything they need you to write in the application. So they give you tips of what they expect to see in the application. So you follow that, in a succinct but very clear way, and no waffling.
No waffling. Any top tips for you, Christèle?
Yes, also you should make sure you have all the documents required for the application. That's what I can add, and for sure not procrastinate.
Yeah, I would say if you could get someone to proofread it for you too, that's always a really helpful thing, because no matter how many times you go over it yourself or how good you are at writing, it's always really hard to see your own little tiny niggles. And it's not usually make or break a typo here or there, but actually a really nicely put together application that definitely has been proofread and there aren't many typos and has all the documents and has followed the instructions and all of those things, really does stand out as excellent. And it makes the reviewers think, oh, this is a quality people are submitting. in their application, they'll be able to submit a quality grant too. So really some of those things about submitting this, looking at the instructions and putting together the forms are giving the reviewers insight into the care you'll take when you submit a grant. So we're wanting people who really will do that. So pay attention to that. I have a last little question here. I don't know if it's a little question, actually, probably a big question and the question of all times. Just thinking about managing time as a researcher, and particularly as a woman researcher, and having all of these different things you're balancing. So if people are thinking about going into do this grant writing program, how best can they manage their time with still their commitments and still their family and other things going on? So top tips, ladies, what have you learned on that?
First of all, you have to choose you have to choose your responsibilities. Don't embrace all responsibilities. No, you have to choose them, and you have to choose the responsibilities that makes you feel good. For example, if you want to be a member of an association, make sure that association contribute to your well-being because you cannot only be in research. You know, you have to be some social engagement, but make sure that that social engagement is also something that makes you feel good, that when you do it after, you feel very open to write your research grant and to serve in everything in your life. And also, yes, to be planning all those things very well, you have to integrate all those things. And what did I say? Also, make sure you have a good program of everything you are doing. Make sure that all your responsibilities, you face them every day, you plan all your actions, and go on and feel good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Feel relaxed, make sports also, cook, enjoy life.
Yes.
Because research is not easy. We don't have to lie to anybody. It's not easy. It's something that makes you think all the time, and you should make sure that you have other things that makes you enjoy your life.
Yeah. I think that's so good. You're so much more productive when you actually are enjoying things. And what we spend our time on is a choice, which sometimes we don't feel like it is, but it is. Uzoamaka, anything to add to that?
Well, in a nutshell, identify your priorities. Just like Christèle said, have a list, have the things you have to do in order of priority. Otherwise, you see yourself, being, how do I put it, tensed over things, and then yet not getting things done. So you have like a checklist of your priority, and tick them off as it gets off. Also reward yourself for doing so. Also deal with distractions and interruptions. This course will definitely help you learn how to deal with such distractions and how to say no effectively. For example, if you're in an academic or in a clinical setting where you're the kind of person where, okay, oh, please, can you help me out with this thing? You find it difficult to say no when you have tons of things to do. You have to learn. This program will actually teach you how to, know how to select the things you need to do and, set back the things that you don't need to do. Otherwise, you see yourself being burnt out. So, again, being an alumna, I'm part of the alumni group where you can, interact with other women to, sort of release, certain stresses you've gone through, combining family with work, or, or generally being a woman in research. And you sort of learn from their experiences and how to deal with certain things as well. So that somewhat is therapeutic for me as well. So having someone at the same time that you can, talk to, in between when you're doing all these hectic tasks of being a researcher.
I definitely think so too. Really, really, it's good not to be doing it alone. It feels quite overwhelming when you're alone, but when you have other people by your side, maybe we can do it. Mayamuna, I think that's the first questions I had, and I feel like we have about 20 minutes now left. Do we have any questions coming in? Don't know if I can see them or not. I might need you to.
You should. Could you open the Q&A
Yeah.
section now, and then you should see some of the questions. There was also a question from the chat, and I'll just paste it. I'll send it to you now.
Okay. Right. Want to know if there's a save button. Do you know about the application, Mayamuna? That seems more like you.
Yeah, so happy to answer. There is a save button. So but the application automatically saves as you're answering the questions. But you can only complete the application using one device. So for example, if you start with your laptop, you have to complete it. You can come back to it, but it has to be on the same laptop. So you cannot switch from your laptop to your phone, because then it won't recognize the device. So you'll have to log in again and start from scratch. So basically, yeah, you can come back to it as much as you want before the deadline, but it has to be on the same device.
Okay, so we have somebody who's got a medical doctor, is a medical doctor and working on a master's, and asking whether they haven't written grants yet. Is this program right for you? I feel like that's kind of borderline, and I think it would depend on how many actual research publications you have. Because the truth of the matter is you're not going to get any research grants without having research publications. So if you don't have research publications yet and you're working on a degree, whether that's a research master's and you have your clinical background or it's your doctorate, really the first focus has to be getting publications and finding that vision that our ladies were talking to you about, because that you have to have the vision, but you also have to have something to show you can go towards that vision before you can even get small grants. So think of it as the different things you need to be able to progress with your career. Now, publications are something that we're looking at as an AREF, and we're starting to do programs on those, and we probably will have some more open call programs on helping support publication writing. But right now, really that's focusing on your courses and getting publications out of them is probably your first line to focus on if you don't have those yet. Let's see, other questions. Do we have areas of disease or interest? Really, we don't. We're really very broad. It has to be in the broad sense, biomedical public health, but AREF in itself has no particular slant in that. That's really because AREF fully believes that the research that's done should be driven within their communities and within their research areas, and it shouldn't be dictated by us. So that what you're researching and where your vision is should be developed by you based on your experience as a researcher. And as long as it's in the broader public health biomedical area, you're fine to apply to AREF. There's a technical one about submission emails. I assume they'll get a response email. Is that right, Mayamuna?
Yes, so I'll have to check in with the team, but you should get, actually, no, you don't. You don't get a response. But if you submit and then the form says that you have successfully submitted and you did this before the deadline and before the time, then your application was received.
Yeah, I have people asking, okay, I'm a doctoral, is it suitable for a doctoral student? Really, the level of this is postdoctoral. There are other programs that support, or other different organizations that support people during their doctorate, and you should be able to get support from your institution. AREF's niche is intentionally postdoctorate because there's very little support necessarily within institutions, or in the broader sense, looking at people in this postdoctoral type region. So get your doctorate, do fantastic in it, get publications, and come be part of the AREF family after, I would say. Is it important to limit the scope according to the situation or depending on our area of interest? I think if you're talking about in the application, having a specific career vision is helpful, but a career vision can be quite big. You will be able to get multiple different grants out of a career vision. So when you're talking about your career vision and where you want to go, you can tend to answer that quite in quite a big way. But it should be specific enough. So when you heard both our speakers here today talk about their career vision, you could see that that's kind of a body of work that they're working on, and that you can get multiple grants off of it. If you're talking about the scope according to the situation or area of interest for a specific grant, now that's different. And within the grant writing program, we would talk about how to think about the scope of a grant. Those tend to have to be much more specific depending on the size. So if it's a larger grant, you might be able to have more aims. If it's a small grant, you probably only have one. But you do have to become specific when you're talking about certain grants. Right, I think I've answered the kind of MSc PhD ones. Does AREF support researchers with grants? AREF doesn't give specific grants for research, but we do offer a fellowship program. So our AREF fellowships are the career development fellowships. Again, are very, AREF is a charity that focuses on supporting the person, not the research per se. So it's a researcher and your development. So our career development grants are very much about supporting you as a researcher to go somewhere to a research institution or department or faculty of excellence, so that you can develop skills to bring back to your home institution and be able to move your research forward. So it is, again, very much about supporting you. And these are short fellowships. So they're 3 to 9 months. Usually people are more like 6 to 9 months when they do them. And that gives you time to develop a range of skills and take them back and do something with them. So it's not exactly a research fund in itself. And with grant writing, we talk about all the different funding streams. Well, not all of them. We talk about different funding streams, and there are always other ones. And we talk about you getting the skills to go out and find different funding streams that will help support you. What is the extent of training? Can you give us some insight? Maybe I'll bounce that one over to you guys. Uzoamaka, what would you say is the extent of the training, and a little bit of insight into that?
Oh, comes with a lot of packages. You tend to understand one of them is that you will understand funders. You will understand how to write the compelling proposal. You will also understand how to, develop your personal development plan. You will, publication strategies were also taught us. So you will understand that one as well. How to improve, project management, budgeting. When you're writing grants, you come across budgeting. How to, and at the end of the course, we came up with proposals that were peer reviewed. There's a lot more than what I just said. This is just a tip of the iceberg of what the program entails.
Yeah, it is a really complex program. So, and it is, like I said, it's very interactive. It's you doing and discussing and learning and trying out these different skills and relating it all back to your grant writing process. So it is, I think I would call it intensive.
Yeah, very, very intensive. We also had to do some reflections for each course we did, and apply it to potential proposal as well. So it was quite intensive, but very, very rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to add something though. We
Yeah.
particularly learn how to talk about our research to our family, our friends. You don't really insist on that thing. We should share what we are doing in a lay vocabulary, yes, with our family, so that everybody will be familiar with what we are doing, so that we can be. There is that strategy, the five whys when you are stating when you are writing a research project, yes. And also we learn how to perform that 5 whys with our family, even with our husband, with our mother, father. And this was a very good exercise done. You don't know how. Doing it, you find all the barriers you have in your head and you think it can be understandable.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Yes.
And we also were taught about how to use SMART. In our project in our project management. I actually use that in my daily activities. Now, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? I think reproducible and time bound. Time bound, yes. Yeah. So you learn a lot, and it goes beyond. The experience goes beyond just this program. Yes. I find myself, when I'm picking up, for example, there are concept notes I'm developing. I find myself going back to the handbook of the program, yes, on how to write concept notes, and thinking about what reviewers are actually looking out, to see in my in my writing. So this program definitely empowered me on how to do those things, equipped me with the skills I needed for grant writing. Yes, Uzo. I want to add also, this program learns us how to face the rejections when you write your project and your supervisor only say, no, it's not good. And now I'm not more feeling it personally. When you write for a grant program and they say, thank you. Now I'm not more feeling bad. I feel that I have something to improve, and it is the way every researcher should go through. Yes. Yeah.
It is. Definitely part of being a researcher. Everyone will get rejections at some point, and it is important to learn from them. And I think that's a really important thing to tell people too. And it's true even about applying for this. So, you know, you can apply. It is competitive. We get a lot of applications. We always get between 100 to 200 applications. We have 20 spots. So it really is competitive. But if you don't make it this time, you can reapply. You can work on things like your publications and your career vision, and you can try again. So it really is part of being a researcher, is learning how to take the bumps and be positive about it and come back stronger. I have a question about the concept note, and does it need to be a brand new project or an extension of one running? It has to be novel research, because that's what gets funded. You don't get funded for not novel research. However, all research that is fundable does come from past research. So everything builds upon itself. I wouldn't expect something to be just plucked out of the air without having links and experience drawn from your previous research experience. So you should have been doing some research, and now this question has come up and you're drawing from that. So so it needs to be novel, but nothing ever stands on its own as being totally not connected. The application requires a letter from a sponsor or mentor. In general, what we want to do when we ask for that is to know that you do have support for this, so that you're not, often people will put their kind of supervisor or line manager down, and it's just making sure that you will have enough time to take away to do it, that you're getting institutional support, that your institution will appreciate the skills and things you're bringing back. Because one thing we really do hope, AREF, we don't have enough capacity to support and train every researcher across the continent. It's quite a big continent. But by supporting individuals within institutions, we do hope they go back into their institution and they use what they've learned, and they also train and support others in the skills too. So we very much want you to have that institutional support and embedding. And that's something we're looking for, because we feel that enhances our impact. Because you'll be supported and you'll be able to give back within your institution. Have lots of people asking about how many publications. I don't know as though there's a specific number. It really is that you're demonstrating you're building up a career vision, that things are that you're starting to see where you want to drive yourself. And it is a really tough thing, because you start off as a researcher working underneath someone and working towards their career vision. So what we're looking for is you to start seeing where your career vision is that's slightly different to your supervisors, and you building up publications to show you can take yourself there. So it isn't really a number. It's kind of that combination of you starting to be able to think about branching out and getting your own grants, as opposed to being underneath somebody else. So think about that, where you are in that pipeline. If you're ready to make that, I'm trying to start my own research group in the next few years. I see the different types of grants I need to get there. I know what they'll do for my career. And when you're starting to purposely do that, then this type of program will really support you in doing that. Maya Muna, I see we have 2 minutes left. I don't know if you see a question, one quick question coming out, or if there's any suggestion you have on time.
So we have 2 minutes, and I was thinking we can do an extra 5 minutes, if that's okay with you, of course, and Uzoamaka, Christèle. I see, saw there's a lot of question about master's done. So if you could, people who are currently doing a master's or
It's
just
quite
graduate.
hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah. So there's a question, there's several questions about the master's degrees and people's still, so if you can just clarify that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, if you're just doing a master's degree, this is not a program for doctoral fellowships or for, there's very little research funding that is targeted towards people who just have a master's, and that might be unfortunate, but it really is the case. You will not be able to use the skills that we're going to be talking about directly to get funding if you're at that early stage. So it's probably not the program for you. There are other people, other places who will do things about doctoral funding. So you'd be better looking to that. If you're doing a master's, then your next step is probably a doctorate if you're wanting to go down the independent researcher pathway. So I would say that that's not our core target area, and you should be looking at other things. Other bits that would be good to clarify, Maya Muna.
So a question just come up about the research grants portfolio, and if they need to put in all their achievements in there.
Yeah. Please do. So under the research grants portfolio, absolutely, you can put things like your doctoral fellowships. So if you have gotten a doctoral fellowship, put that in. If you've gotten any small grants, travel awards, anything that you've put in, put those into the research grants portfolio. And again, put in grants that you've applied for but haven't gotten, which for us, it shows that you're actively working on applying for grants. It's not a requirement that you have grants there, but it is something reviewers look positively on if we see that you are working on and that you're thinking about different grants and you're thinking about getting funding and building that up. So like I said, I think somebody asked, I have a lot of publications, but I haven't applied to grants yet. If you do have a good career vision, starting with publications that back it up, the grant applications may not be necessary, but both of those things are things that our reviewers look at. Yeah, so there is the medical qualification. So a higher medical qualification and already having a research master's and being involved actively in as a researcher, in getting publications can be another route. So there's a PhD route, PhD and now in postdoc, or you can come from the medical route and then have a research relevant master's that has helped you gain those research skills that you need, and be actively involved in research. That's the other, if you have that pathway and you can show you're actively involved in research with publications and with applying for grants and things like that, then that's perfectly fine too. And I would say we say awarded within the previous 6 years. If your award is later and you've had caring responsibilities or things like that, which means your career has had different career breaks, please, that's fine. Just write in there that you've had career breaks, that you've had children, that you've had to take time off to take care of family members or things like that, and you would still be within the years. Okay, so especially for this one, it's important. We won't hold maternity or taking care of young children against people. So just write that in if you have a longer time period than 6 years.
So I can see one final question here, Dawn. I'm not sure this was answered, but it's about what the sponsor part. So it says the application requires a letter from a sponsor or mentor. What does a sponsor refer to in this case?
Yeah, well, I think I tried to answer that. So generally that would probably be your supervisor. But in general, we're looking for somebody within your institution who's supporting you to do this, so that we're seeing institutional support.
For example, when I applied, I remember clearly I used, because I work in the university environment, I work in a department, I used my head of department.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that head of department is a really good person to use. If your head of department is supportive, then we know that you can say, can't attend these meetings because I'm doing this thing you've supported me to do. And you should get the time to do it. And also, again, your institution will know about that and hopefully be holding you to account to bring back the skills and support other people going forward. So I think it makes for a good connection. It's good for your institution to see that you're wanting to develop yourself to be able to get grants. So you might feel nervous about asking people, but actually it shows that you're ambitious. It shows that you want to start getting independent grant money, and that this is something you're thinking about, and you're thinking about how to do that. And that people will hopefully then see you as a future research leader and start supporting you in that way. So don't be shy about putting yourself out there like that. Right. How are we doing?
Okay. I think we've gone through all those questions, really.
Yay.
Yeah.
It gets intense when they start coming at you.
Yes, you always have them lost somewhere, but great job.
Cool. Right. Well, it's been lovely chatting with everyone. And I just want to give a big thank you again to our alumni. We always love seeing our alumni and all of the fantastic things you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time to come talk to us and catch up. And yeah, we value you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dawn.
It's a
It's
pleasure.
an honor.
Any parting words, Mayamuna, about details or anything? Maybe throw out some deadlines or anything like that?
Yes, I can share. So the applications are open now and they will be running through the 12th of May, and applications close by 5 p.m. GMT. So if you're on a different time zone, you could check the exact time. So you make sure that you're submitting your application as well. Like I said, deadline is 12 May. We've published the application link, and then there's the link to the online form where you actually put in your details and submit your application. But there's also a guidance document which Dr. Uzoamaka have spoken about that you can read, and the step-by-step process of how to apply, what you need, so you can prepare before actually starting your application. We also have a frequently asked questions section on our website. So if there's anything that you missed during this call, you can always go back to it and read it. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Yeah, I just want to highlight the time zone thing again, because it will shut off and you will not be able to submit applications past the deadline. This is what happens normally with different types of applications, whether they're grants or other things. So really, really always be mindful of time zones. They are always the struggle. It's horrible to put in a lot of work and then to miss out just because the calculation of a time zone one way or the other. So I would encourage you to check on that. Well, I hope we have lots of applicants. Whether you apply for this one or decide to wait for one in the future, we really do hope that you'll be part of our AREF family at some point. We are always excited about our new cohorts coming in and our family growing even bigger. So it will be lovely to read your applications, and good luck with the applications, and really, really good luck with all of your research. Researchers change the world. So keep going out there and making a difference.
Thank you, Dr. Uzoamaka and Christèle. Do you have any final words you'd like to say?
I said in the beginning, don't procrastinate, just do it. And just do it. With my experience, I saw when I applied, I saw it 2 days to the deadline. So I didn't really have time, to send it to my mentor to, read and sit down and then get that back to me. So I had to do that on the spot, but I had a friend close by who read through, so, and then submitted. So I would have missed that chance if I'd said, oh no, the deadline is here, and that, I would have missed that chance. So just do it.
Let's do it.
And if it's not time for you to apply, prepare yourself for the future ones.
Yes. Yes, Uzo said all, and I wish you good luck for your application and for your future grants. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.